All right. Hey guys, welcome to Monday Morning Leadership. This is Brad Krantz. I appreciate you joining me today. Hey, we're going through John Maxwell's The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. Today we're going to be looking at quality number 13, which is positive attitude. And if you believe you can, you can. So I'm going to share a couple things from Gary Vaynerchuk to just kind of qualify what I'm doing here. But, he says that your personal brand is your reputation, and your reputation in perpetuity is the foundation of your career. And you constantly build your brand through communication, content creation. And that's part of what I'm doing here. But the other thing is I'm always keeping in mind that my content should not always be, and hopefully is not about me or what's in it for me, but what's in it for you, my audience. So I hope to keep giving you value. That's my goal today. Something significant in this regard is from William James, a psychologist, who said the greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitude of mind. And I'm going to stop there, and I want to bring up a screen share, and this is going to be kind of the overriding theme today, because we're going to talk about this quite a bit. Got to blow this up a little bit, but life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it, from a book by Charles Swindoll. He's the credited author of that. Life is 10% what happens to you, to me, and 90% of how we react to it. So I want you to think about that and keep that in the back of your mind as we go through the rest of this lesson today, because that's going to kind of come back and touch on a couple other points. But it's all about, this is centered around attitude. Okay, so thanks for joining me on that. Let's go back. Thomas Edison said that many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they give up. And Edison had a lot of failures, a lot of successes. But, if Edison hadn't been such a positive person, he probably never would have achieved the success he did as an inventor. Okay, if you look at the lives of people in any profession who achieve lasting success, you're going to find that they almost always possess a positive outlook on life. And again, I'm going to repeat, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Okay, if you desire to be an effective leader, we're talking about leadership here, having a positive attitude is essential, right? I'm just going to stop you. How many people, you don't have to raise your hand on this, but bounce me back, but how many people like being around negative people? Right? And what if somebody's your boss or leader? Do you really want to be around them? No. So being an effective leader, you've got to have a positive attitude. It's essential, right? And you want to be around positive, uplifting people, right? For the most part. As far as I know, that's what we want to do. That not only determines your level of contentment as a person, but it also has an impact on how others interact with you. Think about that one. If you're negative to people, you're going to get negative back. If you're positive, you're going to get positive back. But, here's some things to think about what it means to be positive. First one is your attitude as a choice. And again, we said that already. Life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. The average person wants to wait for somebody else to motivate them. But clue you in here, they perceive that their circumstances are responsible for the way they think. But which comes first, the attitude or the circumstances? Okay, it's really kind of a chicken or the egg kind of a question, right? That's kind of how Maxwell worded it. The truth is, it doesn't matter which came first. Okay, no matter what happened to you yesterday, your attitude is your choice, right? 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. Number two, your attitude really determines your actions, right? Family life expert Dennis Waitley addressed this issue. He said, the winner's edge is not a gifted birth, a high IQ, or in talent. The winner's edge is all in attitude, not aptitude. Our attitude is the criterion for our long-term success. Your attitude is crucial because it determines how you act. Think on that one for a bit. If you have a negative attitude, how are you going to act? You're going to react to the world. You're going to act in a certain way. You have a positive attitude, you're going to react a certain way too, and it's going to come out in your actions. Okay. So number three, your people are a mirror of your attitude, right? Aren't you constantly amazed by people who, have a poor attitude, yet they expect their people or their kids to be upbeat, right? You can't be a tyrant at the office. I'll just say it, a bad boss poor leader yelling and screaming at people and expect people to be upbeat. That's just not going to happen. I was in a kind of a negative environment like that when I started out in my insurance career, and it wasn't really that fun to have somebody that was constantly berating on you, putting you down, and just kind of had a negative attitude about stuff. So you can't expect people to have a positive attitude if you don't model it first. And right when we talk about leadership, we lead by example, right? It's our example. We have a good attitude. The people that we lead, the people that follow us, if it's an employment situation or employees, hopefully they're going to have a positive attitude too, right? So Maxwell says here that the law of magnetism really is true, that who you are is who you attract. Okay, and William James, again, he said it this way: you attract not what you want, but that which you are. Let that sink in. You attract not what you want, but that which you are. Okay, you can't attract something that you're not. So you've got to be somebody different than you are if you need to change things. And four, you got to maintain a good attitude. It's easier than trying to regain one. Eugene Peterson wrote, pity is one of the noblest emotions available to human beings. Self-pity is possible the most ignoble. It is an incapacity, a crippling emotional disease that severely distorts our perception of reality. You went further to say it's a narcotic that leaves its addicts wasted and derelict. Wow. So think about that one. So if you already have a positive attitude, I want to encourage you to keep it up. And I will talk about some of the things that we do to keep and develop our attitude, right? It's an ongoing process. On the other hand, if you have a difficult time expecting the best of yourself and others, okay, don't despair. There's hope, right? Because again, you can choose your attitude so you can change it, but you've got to want to change it too. That's important. So let's reflect on this a bit. English heart surgeon, who's also a theologian, Martin Lloyd-Jones, asserted that most unhappiness in life is due to the fact that you are listening to yourself rather than talking to yourself. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? So here's some questions that will come up for reflection. So what kind of voices do you hear? And when you meet people, do you tell yourself that they'll let you down? What are your expectations, negative or positive? And when you face new experiences, does a voice in your head say you're going to fail? It'll never work. Don't say that. If you're hearing negative messages, you need to learn to give yourself positive mental pep talks. And that's why personal development is so good. The best way to retrain your attitude is to prevent your mind from going down any negative forks in the road, right? Just don't go there and you won't get there. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So here's some steps that you can take to help improve your attitude. Number one, you got to feed yourself the right food. I'm going to probably talk about this a little bit more in depth. If you've been starved of anything positive, then you need to start feeding yourself a regular diet of motivational material. And you may have to reprogram your mind. This really goes back into our association, who we associate with. Do we associate with positive, uplifting, inspiring people? Are we associating with people that bring us down, that are always negative, that are always critical? Because if that's who you hang around with, that's going to be kind of your focus, And that's why we talk about, reading good books, reading books that feed your mind, but read books that encourage a positive mental attitude. Okay. And you can certainly listen to a number of motivational podcasts. There's a ton of stuff on YouTube, Gary Vaynerchuk, John Maxwell, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, etc. There's a ton of them, but I would also say avoid a heavy diet of network news, because that's not, most of the time is not positive, and it's not going to give you a positive mindset. Okay. If you can consume a steady diet of right food, just like if you eat right, your body's going to be healthy, you can become a positive thinker. But you've got to feed yourself the right food. We have to stay away from negative influences, stuff that are going to lead us to be negative, and choose to be positive. And I choose to be positive in my outlook. That's part of my social media strategy. Is I don't dwell and focus on the negative, because it doesn't attract people to you. I'm not attracted to people that are outwardly or always or most of the time negative. It's just they're not attractive, right? We're into attraction marketing, hopefully, here on social media. So another thing you can do is achieve a goal every day. Okay, so if some people, you get in the rut of negativity. I know it happens to me too, because they feel, or I feel, that I'm not making progress. Okay, you don't necessarily see something day to day or week to week. And if that describes you, then begin setting achievable daily goals for yourself. That might help. A pattern of positive achievement. You bite off a little bit every day. You're successful with that. That's going to help you to develop a pattern of positive thinking. And then what he terms right on your wall. Write it on your wall. We all need reminders to help us thinking right. Okay. People put up awards they've won, or, inspirational posters, or letters that they've received, etc. Some people keep a vision board. Those are all good things to keep your mind focused on what you want, not on what you don't want. So bottom line here is just find something that'll work for you and put it on your wall. Okay. So thanks so much for joining me today. And as usual, if you got some benefit out of this message, I'd really appreciate you stopping, pause and hit the subscribe button so you can get more of these same messages. And let me know what you liked about this message too. That really helps me when I get some feedback. And then, as always, you are more than welcome to join and connect with me on social media. I'll leave the links where you can reach out and connect with me so you can follow me there too. So I want to say in closing, have a positive Monday. Remember, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.